بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام.
الحمد لله فالق الحب والنوى وخالق العبد ومن توى. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له في علاه. أشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله نبي صدق هدت أنوار شرعته للهدى بعد العمى من كان عنيتا. أحيا به الله قوما قام سعدهم كما أحيا به قوما أماريتا. ما ضل وما غوى وما ينطق عن الهوى إن هو إلا وحي يوحى. إن هو إلا وحي يوحى. سبقت به البشرى ونزل فيه وعليه سبحان الذي أسرى. ثم أما بعد. To our brothers in Iman and our sisters in faith, Assalamu alaikum jami'an wa rahmatuhu wa barakatuh. We welcome all of you tonight in this beneficial gathering, and our respected viewers also through Ink TV. I welcome all of you, and with the greetings of this deen, the deen of al-Islam I started with. But inshallah, as we all know, we rolling together as a team, spreading the word of this deen, kalimatu la ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. And this statement, this kalima, this word, kalimat al-tawheed, has many names. Sometimes la ilaha illallah is called kalimatu la ilaha illallah or kalimatu al-tawheed, or sometimes it's called al-husna, kalimatul husna, or kalimatul tayyiba. So wherever you see us moving, it's because we want to make sure that this word la ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah spread in a way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pleased with, and the same thing the Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam. But before we commence with tonight's task, as we all know the theme, Islam, that we know Islam in America. We know Islam is in this country. Whether people accept it or not, Islam is in America. So we want to take this theme tonight, inshaAllah tabarak wa ta'ala, and share with you the beauty of this deen. Shaykh Khalid Yasin and I. We also have our Shaykh, Shaykh Abu Muslimah, bayyahum Allahu wa ra'ahuma, making dua assiduously for both. But before then, inshallah, we invite one of the teachers and reciters of al-minhaal Academy, Shaykh Mu'taz Shaheen, to recite some ayat from Quran, just to open the floor. Not just like something as a sunnatic, but we just want to feel some system of that deen through the Quran of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we invite Shaykh Mu'taz.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. لله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض وإن تبدوا ما في أنفسكم أو تخفوه يحاسبكم به الله. وإن تبدوا ما في أنفسكم أو تخفوه يحاسبكم به الله فيغفر لمن يشاء ويعذب من يشاء والله على كل شيء قدير. آمن الرسول بما أنزل إليه من ربه والمؤمنون نفرق بين أحد من رسله وقالوا سمعنا وأطعنا غفرانك ربنا وإليك المصير لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها لها ما كسبت وعليها ما اكتسبت ربنا لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا أو أخطأنا ربنا ولا تحمل علينا إصرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا ربنا ولا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين.
بارك الله فيك وأجزل الله لك المثوبة. We thank Shaykh Mu'taz Shaheen for this recitation of Quran. Brothers and sisters in Iman, knowing that we have very limited time, the organizers gave me 15 minutes and the same time with Shaykh Khalid as well. So I will not like to prolong tonight's lecture. As I sometimes say to people, I need maybe 45 minutes just to warm up. So the time is kind of short. So what I will do, I will just, advise to myself first and foremost, and secondly, I will hand the microphone to the Shaykh, inshaAllah tabaraka wa ta'ala. The theme, Islam in America. Islam and America. This is the team that we came. This is our team tonight. Bi-idhnillahi tabarak wa ta'ala, Islam and America. Now we know Islam is the deen that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had chosen and selected. Now whether we accept it or not, it remains the only deen that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will accept on the day of Qiyamah. And this Islam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talked about it in ayah 55 of chapter 22, 22nd chapter of Quran in Surah Al-Hajj. Allah subhanahu jalla fi'ula stated, وَلَا يَزَالُ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا فِي مِرْيَةٍ مِّنْهُ حَتَّى تَأْتِيَهُمُ السَّاعَةُ بَغْتَةً أَوْ يَأْتِيَهُمْ عَذَابُ يَوْمٍ عَقِيمٍ. This ayah 55 of Surah Al-Hajj, I believe each and every Muslim in America must memorize it and also know the meaning of it. By knowing the meaning, we will not even overwhelm ourselves and say why this, why Islam in America, or why Islam in Europe, or why Islam in 21st century. Almighty subhanahu wa ta'ala in this verse says, وَلَا يَزَالُ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا فِي مِرْيَةٍ مِّنْهِ. The non-believers, the disbelievers, the non-Muslims will never give up. They will continue having doubt in it. Now this word, فِي مِرْيَةٍ مِّنْهِ, there's a pronoun that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used here, that they will continue, meaning the non-Muslims will continue to have doubts in it. Now in what? Three opinions of scholars in the tafsir of this ayah. But since we do not have time, I don't want to delve in details. I will just choose one. The opinion that scholars all agreed upon, that they will continue, the non-believers will have doubts in it, meaning in the message of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, the non-Muslims will never give up, and they will continue having doubts in the message of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam until when? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to the day of Qiyamah. So think not that it's just 21st century, maybe 20, 30 years or 50 or 100 years from now, Islam, non-Muslims will give up and say, this deen, mashallah, we accept Islam. No, what will happen is that they will continue to have doubts in that message of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, except those who go back to the root and read Quran of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala based on the way the Quran was revealed and the interpretations of Rasulullah sallallahu in the best way of understanding Islam, by asking those who qualify to teach it, not just asking media what media says about Islam. No, they ask the scholars of the deen to explain what Islam is all about. And when people now understand Islam based on the scripture, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, you will see people coming into the deen, embracing Islam from all walks of life. But others will continue to have the doubt. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, it's up to you now to preach. It's up to you now to open the eyes of those who want to learn the deen. But in order for the whole world to accept Islam, to say, I want Africa, all Africa to be Muslims, and all Americans to be Muslims, or Europeans to be Muslims, and all the Khalid, everybody to be Muslims, this is what we want till the day of Qiyamah. Allah said, it's up to us. If we want the whole world to be Muslim, nobody will remain kafir by tomorrow Fajr. Allah said, I have the power. If He wants everybody to be Muslim, nobody can deny. وَلَوْ شَاءَ اللَّهُ لَجَعَلَكُمْ أُمَّةً وَاحِدًا. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decides today and tonight for everybody to be Muslim, nobody can challenge and say, I challenge the authority of Allah, I still don't want to be Muslim. Allah said it's our own choice. So whoever we want, we guide to Islam, and those whom you see away of the deen, it's up to us to guide them. But those who make the initiatives and the first steps to embrace Islam, that's because we open their chests to embrace it. So if you see that you're willing to embrace Islam, get to know you are chosen by Allah to accept that deen. So you have to say Alhamdulillah and praise be to Allah. But others, the doubt will remain. Why? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, because most people don't want change. Thinking that, when we embrace that deen, certain things we can do. When we embrace this deen, certain things that we want to do, the deen says do not, or the deen says do this that we don't want to actually practice, or the deen is asking us to do this and we don't want to do it, or what the deen is asking us to do is not what we want to do. So you see people will continue to reject the faith, not just because they don't believe in it as being the system that is systemized by Allah to be the best. No, they do. It's just that, people sometimes want to follow their own desires. And that's why Abu Talib, the uncle of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam invited him to the deen, this is the statement that he said, and history recorded the statement. He said, وَلَقَدْ عَرِفْتُ بِأَنَّ دِينَ مُحَمَّدٍ مِنْ خَيْرِ أَدْيَانِ الْبَرِيَّةِ دِينًا لَوْلَا الْمَلَامَ أَوْ حَذَارِ مَسَبَّةٍ لَوَجَدْتَنِي سَمْحًا بِذَاكَ مُبِينًا فَاصْدَعْ بِمَا أُمِرْتَ لَا عَلَيْكَ غَضَاضَةٌ. He said, I believe that the deen that Muhammad came with and the deen that Muhammad is preaching today is the best deen and will remain to be the best deen till the last day, meaning the day of judgment. And we believe that we have no deen today like that of Muhammad. The only reason why we don't want to embrace it because people will blame us. The only reason we don't want to embrace the deen, they will say, why will you follow this young man and leave your own forefathers who came with the deen before this young man? So he said, I believe deep down in my heart that no deen like that of Muhammad. It's just that I don't want my families to boycott me, that's it. So we have the same thing today. Some people want to make, the steps to Islam. They want to take that steps to Islam. They want to embrace the deen, but they kind of afraid, okay, if I become a Muslim, what will my family say? The one who started this was Abu Talib. You see, so once you are convinced and your heart is widely open, just make sure you enter in it. Now see, in this life, no matter what you do, people will still have some things to say about you. So it's better for them to talk about you, or even, some just cast some aspersion, or just blaspheme you, or just denigrate, or say bad things about you while you're upon the straight path and you're on that deen and that straight religion, than to be on the falsehood and they still talk bad about you. You see? So that's why we trying our best to explore and to give this message, Islam and America, that in 21st century, this deen that people talking about, this deen that some people cannot even, stand to hear the words or the kalam of Allah that the deen came with, did not start today, started long time ago. And Allah said it's going to continue. So it's up to you to make your own choice. Wake up early in the morning and smell the coffee. If you refuse to wake up early in the morning, Dunkin' Donuts still going to sell the coffee. If you refuse to wake up early in the morning, 8 o'clock cafe will still be open. If you refuse to wake up and smell the coffee, Starbucks will still be boxing. So it's up to you to make sure that you're in it. So this is what we want to share with you tonight. And this is what we came with tonight. But you see, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this ayah, وَلَا يَزَالُ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا فِي مِرْيَةٍ مِّنْ حَتَّى تَأْتِيَهُمُ السَّاعَةِ. Till the last day, people will never leave Islam alone. That's the meaning of the verse. To the day of Qiyamah, people will not leave Islam alone. So that's why when we understand the deen, we have to make sure that we live by the precepts of the deen, the laws that the deen came with. Not to fabricate or say, since we love Islam so much, since we love Sunnah so much, let's just do what we want, or let's do what we please, let's just run. No. Make sure we take it easy, especially with the young ones. And just for me to wrap up, because I don't want to take much time, I told you I need 45 minutes. All what I said, I didn't even start yet. For real, we did not even start yet. But the point here is, in the battle of Ahzab, now record this name, and make sure you run it, so that the young folks will memorize the name, and know that these are the names that they need to be memorizing and knowing for somebody like James, or Kerry, or LeBron. No, these names, the tight names. Ghazwat al-Ahzab, or the battle of Ahzab, Sahaba said we were sitting when Prophet ﷺ asked us, who will go out and check out what's going on and bring the news back to me? Meaning what the non-Muslims saying about the deen. What the non-Muslims are saying about the deen. We want to know. See? So this is what they said. Nobody moved. Prophet asked again, who will go out and ask, people, what people are saying, meaning the non-Muslim are saying about the deen. And Allah promised him Jannah, meaning Allah will give him Jannah. This is the last thing I will share with you tonight. Who will go out and bring the news from the non-believers, and Jannah is guaranteed. Hudhayfa said, we all want Jannah, but that day was tough. Nobody spoke. So Prophet ﷺ started moving towards me, Hudhayfa said. And he said, who is sitting over there? Because it was dark. Who was sitting over there? Hudhayfa said, I was sitting right there. Man, guess what? My intestine started like I was so afraid that Prophet ﷺ would say, you go. Because it was really tough. He said, I swear by Allah, even if one of us wants to use restroom on that day, he will not be able to go out because the non-believers were waiting. We were so afraid that we cannot even use bathrooms. Ajallakumullah. We cannot even go to the restrooms. Now we're talking about, subhanallah, in America it's kind of this, the deen is being talked about and deen is this, but at least we can go to the bathrooms, right? Sahaba said at that time we cannot even use bathrooms. Ajallakumullah. Sometimes we feel like we have to, but we cannot. Why? Because it was tough on all of us. Subhanallah. He said, then Prophet asked me, who is sitting back there? I said, I was sitting, but I could not even talk. And then Hudhayfa said, but wallahi, we believe in all what Prophet ﷺ told us that day, that we will be the ones to open rooms, and we will be the one to lead Sham, and we will be the one to lead, Kisra, and we will go to Kisra and take the leadership, and we will go here. He said, we cannot even go to the bathrooms. He was giving us these promises, but guess what? Because of the type of iman in our chest, we still believe that this Islam will dominate. That's the difference between us and Sahaba. We're in the state of fear, and now we question even the authenticity of the Sunnah. We question the authenticity of Islam, saying, if Islam is the truth, then why? If the Islam is the truth, then why? So I say, at least in America we get the deen. So we have to make sure we get the right, mindset of preaching the right way. Now all the issues that, the young kids want to go here and blow this place and go here and blow that. They want to make sure we rectify and say what Islam came with in a way that pleases Allah without going beyond of harming. Especially we live in the state of weakness today. You see, if you're in the state of weakness, you have to be very wise in your statement. Now nobody will say, we have that power today to move. We're in that state of weakness. And being in the state of weakness doesn't mean Islam is weak. No, we Muslims in that state of weakness, but Islam is still powerful. See, Sahaba, they were in that state. They said we could not even come out to use the bathroom. So they accepted that nature. They accepted the environment that today we cannot do enough. But we believe a time will come. So we should not allow, this to come here and do some crazy things and then attach that to the deen of Islam. That's why we came up with this theme, Islam and America. So welcome to this theme. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless all of you. This is just, this is just a drop that I just drop on us tonight. When time comes where we have, extra minutes, then we will delve in details. Bi-idhnillahi tabaraka fi'ula. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless all. So regardless of what happens, it doesn't mean we have to drop this deen. We should hold it tight because that's the truth. If you drop it, somebody else will come and get it. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, when we give you opportunity today, if you don't take care of it, the day that you're ready, we may not be ready for you. The day that you think, now I want Allah in my life, or I want the deen in my life, Allah said, we're going to take it away. So today that you have it, take it and don't waste. Even Bob Marley, he said, don't waste no minute. Subhanallah, see, he been smoking and all that kind of things, but he said, still don't waste no minute. See, so that means when opportunity is given, take it. So this is what we want to share with you tonight. Bi-idhnillahi tabarak wa ta'ala. Thank you very much. And now, inshallah, I give the microphone to Shaykh. And I make dua for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect, Shaykh Abu Muslima our Shaykh, and Shaykh Khalid Yasin as well. وجزاهم الله كل خير. وبارك الله فيك شيخ.
إن الحمد لله حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه. الحمد لله وكفى، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وأصحابه وأزواجه ومن ولا وبعد. Dear brothers and sisters, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give long life to our host Abu Muslima. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give izzah and expand the resources of his jama'ah, so they are able to implement their vision and they are able to establish their footprint in this area which they have committed themselves to. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He give to him a circle of soldiers who will guard his vision and his purpose and his family, and that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give to him a generation beneath him who will hold this vision until it grows like bamboo. And if anybody knows, when you plant bamboo, it doesn't grow like an apple tree. An apple tree can grow and fruit in 3 years, but bamboo, it takes at least 20. So we don't look for things to happen fast, but generational. We ask Allah to give long life to Imam Okasha. When I met his mother and father in Ghana, I said to them, I wish I had a son like him. And they said to me, okay, he's living in your country, he's your son. So I called him this morning and I asked him if he was on the East Coast. He said yes. I said, then I'm going to be with Abu Muslima and his Jama'ah, and you need to be there. That's why he's here today. May Allah bless him, inshallah. We ask Allah to give us the opportunity to frequent his circles so that he can give to us more. And he read that profile only because I have great-grandchildren and grandchildren who's here today, and I just want them because I didn't have the time to spend with them. They don't know me, but I just ask him to read that only so they will know something, that a piece of paper was read, and maybe one day they will go to a library and they say, my grandfather, he wrote that book there, or my grandfather, he supported this masjid there, or something. And this is what we ask Allah for, to bless us with some kind of legacy. Brothers and sisters, we select this subject, Islam in America, because of the climate that we are in. And you know, the best steel comes from the hottest fire. And the wagons are circling us as we speak. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to the kuffar sophisticated weapons. But the weapons which is the most sophisticated is the weapons of media. So that through media, they can change people's minds. They can create misconceptions that make people think it's the truth. And they can fashion for the people a brand that people will think what Islam is, and we know that it is not. And we don't need to mention the names, because whether they're A, B, C or X, Y, Z, whatever, we know that Islam can be known from the akhlaq. A Muslim can dress, a Muslim can talk, a Muslim can whatever, but we know the Muslim from the akhlaq, the behavior. No one can fool you if you look for the behavior, but if you're looking from the outside, some kind of uniform or some kind of lihya or pants or some kind of cloth or some kind of calligraphy or whatever, you will be fooled. Because I remember when I became a Muslim, I used to belong to a group which is called Darul Islam Movement. And one of our aspirations was to establish an Islamic state in America. Can you believe that? Some guys is 19, 20 years old in 1970. We talking about Islamic state? Wallahi, I'm sure glad we ain't talking that right now. Not that Islamic state is not a legitimate aspiration, but that some people, they took the words. They say, if you want, your children want, and your grandchildren, you want Islamic state, we make it for you. We make it with all the calligraphy and all the drapings and everything. But the behavior is like the behavior of shayateen. Now our task is that we have to produce the fragrance so people can smell Islam, people can taste Islam, people can hear Islam, people can feel Islam. And in spite, walau, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, هو الذي أرسل رسوله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله ولو كره الكافرون ولو كره المشركون ولو كره المنافقون. And I want to add another ولو, although it's not in the Quran. ولو كره, and even though the haters will detest it, this deen will rise. The Prophet ﷺ says in one of the mu'jiza of Islam, when the Prophet ﷺ made the Mi'raj and he made the Isra and the Mi'raj, which itself is a mu'jiza, long before the people they even knew where the moon was at, long before the people even thought about outer space, long before that, Allah took his servant from Mecca to Jerusalem, and from Jerusalem he took him to Sidratul Muntaha. And we believe that, although we cannot justify that in scientific terminology. But it is our iman that he did Isra and Mi'raj, and he was back in his bed, and the bed was still warm. So he said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, أو كما قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, when Allah took me on the Mi'raj, I saw the earth in miniature. I saw the earth in miniature. Like the what they call the astronauts, they just recently saw the earth in miniature. He saw it. He said, and Allah showed me what will go in it and what will come out of it. And he says, before the day of judgment, Allah, he will cause Islam to enter every house and every home, regardless of what material it is made from, whether it is wood or whether it's made from animal skin or made from grass. And those who will accept it will be lifted and dignified, and those who reject it, they will be humiliated. Subhanallah, sadaqa Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We're talking about Islam and America, not Islam in America, not Muslims in America, but Islam, a set of values and a civilization, and America, a constitutional set of values and a civilization. It's our job to extract the values of Islam and extract the values of America, the good, which is all good, of Islam, and to take out the good from America and then to blend them, because this is the Prophet ﷺ was sent with Islam not for that time, not for this time, but for every time and every place and every situation and every circumstance. And there will be some people who will accept Islam when they hear it just like it was their name. They're going to respond to that just like their name. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Muslims will be appreciative, that Muslims will be cognitive, that Muslims will be creative, and that Muslims will be diligent, and Muslims will be disciplined, and Muslims will do more than just to talk, but Muslims will want to work and create products and services that people will use. Like you see the phone we are using. The phone we are using. Why the Muslim, he don't have a phone? Why? 8 million Muslims in this country? 8 million Muslims, all of them have maybe one or two phones, which cost $400, $500, $600. Okay, when you went to school, tell me how much is 6 million times 400? 6 million times 400. I tell you, it's 24 billion. That means every Muslim who bought a phone, you contributed 24 billion to the people who made that phone. Why we ain't made a phone? We ain't smart enough to make a phone. We got to buy a Samsung. We got to buy this to so-and-so. And I got an answer for you to that question before we finish. Everybody here is drinking water. Why we don't have no water? Why we don't bottle some water? Everybody got to drink water. Animals got to drink water. The old, the young, everybody got to drink water. Why we didn't bottle some water? And there will be water that people will be drinking, because half of our bodies is made out of water. People will desire water or they will die. Why we don't have no bottle, no water that we got to drink ourselves? Why we don't do that? Secondly, if you are watching TV, some kind of TV, you're watching it either on the phone or you're watching it at home. Why we don't have our own TV? Why we don't have our own satellite? Why we ain't got money? Why we don't have our own hospitals? Why we don't have our own university? Why we don't have our own institutions? Why? Because the greedy heart, the greedy stomach does not produce a full heart. The greedy stomach, the selfish people just become consumers, just like animals. They go to the water, get their whatever, and then they leave and they defecate and they die. So we talk Islam in America. Why? Because Allah, He knows why He put Islam in America. America is the most developed civilization on the earth today. Islam, Allah wanted Islam to be here. It didn't come because of chance. And even with no organized da'wah, can you imagine when I became a Muslim in 1965? There was only 63,000 new Muslims in America. 2.5 million immigrant Muslims in America. Those are the statistics that we have found and we can corroborate. Here we are now in 2015, 50 years later. There are more than 8 million Muslims in America, and 43% is new Muslims that are like the ones sitting here today. So you know 43% of 8 million is, what is that? This is 3.6 million from 63,000. Because Allah, He wants that. And Allah don't shoot dice. Allah did that by design. Because Allah, He wants that this earth, it will respond to Islam. And some of His people will respond to Islam. But brothers and sisters, just because people is accepting Islam, this does not mean that Islam will overcome just like that. No. We have to be tested. And the best steel comes from the hottest fire. So people say that, man, the wagons are circling us. That's because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He wants to raise us up. He wants to test us. He wants to make us stronger. And He wants to force us to come together, even though our minds, our differences, our divisions don't want to come together. But Allah, He's going to force us to come together. Because each one of us, we went somewhere else. We went different places to take something. And when we came back, we had the residue of other people's teachings. Something which was good they taught, and something else which they mixed up. And we took it back. It's like we eat the apple with the core. When we was taking knowledge, we eat the whole apple. When we was taking knowledge, we ate the whole banana. We don't even peel the banana. We were so overcome with knowledge and inspiration, we eat everything. When we get a steak, we even eat the bone. Now we are older people looking at the grave, we understand you need to peel the banana. We are old people, you say, looking at the grave, inshallah, and now we know we have to sit together. And I understand the prayer is at 7. So if some of you sitting there saying, Inna salata kanat ala al-mu'minina kitaban mawquta, the Imam, he told me, if we need to delay the prayer a little bit, Shaykh, just keep talking. This is what you told me, Shaykh? So don't be getting all messed up, you understand me, about the clocks, because the clocks not rule us, we following the Imam. Now why I said Islam in America, because I want to make brothers and sisters think about it. America have very sophisticated institutions, we got to take our share from that. Out of 300 transnational corporations, 240 of them is American. McDonald's, Burger King, Pizza Hut, this one, that one, you know, U.S. Steel, whatever, you can name it. When you go somewhere else in the world, you see American companies leading the economy. But what we taking from that? We're not taking from that. We're not taking from that. So now we have touched hearts, we have touched minds, and that's beautiful. But now we need to touch paper. If we don't touch no paper, we can't come up. Even Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave His Prophet sallallahu the wahi, but He didn't, gold and silver don't come out the sky. One day the Prophet sallallahu was sitting with his companions after one ghazwa, after one of the battles. He was sitting with them because he was preparing for another battle. They had already spent, some of them had died, they wounded, they tired, and the Prophet is sitting in front of them and he's asking them for money because he need camels, he need horses, he need food, he need weapons to go out. Allah don't send it from the sky. So he was asking and he was asking and he was asking, and some of the ladies was taking off their jewelry and throw it, but it was not enough. So the Prophet was sitting with his head down and he was waiting for the people to give something. And so Uthman ibn Affan, he said, oh Prophet, just wait. He come back. What does this mean? Uthman must live close. Uthman was not living in Newark. He was not in the suburbs. If he said, just wait, Prophet, I come back, where was he living? He lived around the corner. So this is one hikmah we find. Wherever there's a masjid, wherever you want to live, you need to live near a masjid. And even if you don't like some of the people there or the imam, you don't agree, you need to live next to a masjid. Because the masjid
is the heart of the community. If you want to build a community, it has to be a masjid. But if you're living in the suburbs, chilling out in your high-rise roachinettes, and you got to drive 30 minutes to come to the masjid, sometimes you're going to miss it because you don't feel like driving or you ain't got no gas. So Uthman, he said, Ya Rasulullah, just wait one moment. He come back with a bag of silver because he thought that's what would help. And when he gave it to the Prophet ﷺ, he asked him, O Messenger of Allah ﷺ, is that enough? The Prophet ﷺ, he kept sitting with his head down. What that mean? What do you mean? It's not enough. So Uthman, radiallahu anhu, may Allah bless him, he was not just pious, he was not just muttaqi, mashallah. He was among the agniya, he was among the richest of the people. So he said, okay, Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and this happened on many different occasions, that we can give a hadith on that. He said, okay, Prophet, please wait one moment. And he left, he come back, he had a bag of gold. When he poured that gold in the lap of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was picking that gold up and looking at it, and he was smiling, which means what? He said, oh Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is that enough? And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was smiling, counting that gold. And so what that meant? It was enough. So see what the Prophet ﷺ said, not about his taqwa, because long time ago the Prophet ﷺ, he called Uthman, he called Dhun Nurayn, the owner of two lights. That means he had two of the Prophet ﷺ's daughters at different times. When they asked him, oh Prophet ﷺ, why you give Uthman two of your daughters? He said, Wallah, if I had another daughter, I'd give it to him too. But he wasn't talking about that day. He said, Wallahi, after this day, it doesn't matter what Uthman does. SubhanAllah. Only because of what? Because of what? His giving. We haven't got to the stage where we're willing to give. We just get to the age, you understand me, where we're willing, you understand me, to learn something. We sacrifice for some ayat, we make a travel, we do this, we make some raka'ah, we do this, we do that, and all of a sudden. But when it comes to giving, Muslims is not coming up. And that's why, Allah, we're on a treadmill. We're on a treadmill. But this is the age of competition. This is the age of being creative. This is the age of giving and sacrifice and contribution and building institutions. Why? Because the people who want to come Islam, if they don't say, they're going to ask what I will get. One man came to the Prophet, he's a Bedouin. He's a Bedouin. And he asked the Prophet, oh, because you know, Bedouins, they don't have no etiquette. So he said, oh Muhammad, you know, like you say, yo Muhammad. You know, he ain't got no manners because he's a Bedouin. But his heart is clean. He said, oh Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, if I accept Islam, what I will get? What I will get? See how wise the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was. He knew the man's condition. He knew his mentality. He asked him, what you want? What you like? He said, I like humru ni'am. I like humru ni'am. What is that? This means red camels. It's like red Hummer. You know, red camel today is like a red Hummer. Now how a Bedouin, he's asking for a red Hummer. So the Prophet ﷺ, he have a companion across the road over there, and those camels is over there sitting. Beautiful red camels. He said, like those over there? The man said, yes. The Prophet said, say, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, and go and get one. SubhanAllah. So was the Prophet bribing him? No, he was not bribing him. He was motivating him with hikmah. The man went and he said the words, and you say, well, maybe he wasn't sincere. We ain't looking in the chest, only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Sami'un Alim. The man went and got one. He rode out to his people in that Hummer, you know, in that red camel. And they know he's Bedouin. They know he ain't got no money. They know he's homeless. They know he ain't got no camel. They ask him, oh Fulan, where you get that from? He said, I got it from Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He told me if I just say Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, and he give me one. What you think his people ask him? Take us to Muhammad. We got to get money. We have to build. When I met this young man, he's not so young anymore. SubhanAllah, before we even met, here in America, we met in the Masjid of the Prophet ﷺ. Is correct, Shaykh? How out of 1.5 million people, me and him, we meet in Masjid al-Nabawi. I hear his name, people is talking blah, 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 I'm a Muslim, blah, 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 blah. I don't know him. And people is telling him, Shaykh Khalid Yasin, blah, 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 but he don't know me. Both of us made niyyah and we there for Hajj. And inside the Prophet ﷺ's masjid, or that courtyard inside his masjid, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we met, and our love began there. My brother asked me on the way over here, What we got to do about this situation? There's a dua that Aisha radiallahu anha said that the Prophet used to recite after every prayer. Allahumma inni a'udhu min hamni wa huzni wa a'udhu min ajzi wa kasri wa a'udhu min jubni wa bukhli wa a'udhu min ghalibati dayni wa qahr ar-rijal. Allahumma akfini bi halalika an haramik wa aghnini bi fadlik an man siwak. Subhanallah, look at this ayah. I mean, look at this surah. I mean, look at this hadith. Why the Prophet is praying like that? Why he's making this dua every time he ends this prayer? He have everything from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He said, oh Allah, I seek refuge in you from lack of strength, from anxiety and grief, from lack of strength and laziness, from niggardliness and cowardice, from being overpowered by debt and the oppression of men. Oh Allah, with your fadila, make me free. Oh Allah, with your grace and your bounty, provide me with what is halal to keep me away from what is haram, and with your grace make me independent of everyone and everything other than you. See this dua, we need to make that dua every single day and teach to our grandchildren, because Islam and America is a reality. It is not a fantasy anymore. This is the challenge for us, to take the constitutional liberties that we have, that only 13% of the whole world have those liberties that we have. Take that with the values of Islam, package it, and we ourselves, and there's a precedent in America that I want to remind the people of. You know, there's a group of people 120 years ago, they were called the Mormons, Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. They were hated Christians. They were deviants, but they were quiet and they were working very hard. Today the Mormons, what they have? They have a masjid? They have an area? They have a neighborhood? No. The Mormons control the state of Utah. One of the states of America they are controlling. They're controlling the Congress, they're controlling the militia, they're controlling the highways, they're controlling the finance, they're controlling the universities, they're controlling everything in that state. And they are the wealthiest and most progressive Christians in America. So how they come in 120 years? Wallahi, we have been Muslim for 50 years. Maybe by 120 years we will also have a state. And then we will have some power. We will be empowered. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to remember this here, that Islam is not just the Quran faqat only. The Quran is not only traditions only. No, Islam is a system of faith of empowerment. Islam is a faith that is built for America. Islam is a faith that is built for real men and real women who can make families into communities, and communities into areas, and areas into a state. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to remind us of that we're not in a talking stage of Islam. No, we need to now move into the action. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to preserve our faith, to have mercy upon us, and to forgive us, because more than anything we need forgiveness. We say subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdik wa nashhadu an la ilaha illa ant wa nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun ala al-mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.